guys, today we are showing you our crustless pizza in the Crockpot and our adventures in Tombstone, Arizona, all while having a whole lot of fun.
Your days if you do.
Hey Crock Posse, welcome back to my camper kitchen. We are cooking up our crustless pizza here to pair with our Tombstone adventures in Tombstone, Arizona. So I want to go ahead and get this cooking, and then while it's cooking up, we're going to show you all of our fun adventures there, and Mikey's got all kinds of fun things to show you. So starting out, we have 2 pounds of ground beef in our slow cooker that has been browned with minced onion and garlic powder to taste, and salt and pepper. So just season it up, add a little bit of minced onion. I use dried minced onion and then just regular garlic powder. Brown it up and drain it. So if you have a multi-cooker like what I'm using that is very hot, I just burnt my finger, you can brown it in the unit and then drain the fat off. Or if you have a traditional slow cooker, just brown it on the stove and then drain it and then throw it in here. So we've got 2 pounds, like I said. We'll put the link to the original recipe down below. To that, I'm adding 2 cups of mozzarella cheese. Got my freshly shredded back here, but you can use the stuff that comes in the bag. We just do this to save a little and also to make a massive mess on the floor. So there we go. You're going to just dump that in there and stir it with your ground beef. It may melt a little from the heat of the ground beef, but that's okay because we want it to melt in the end anyways. Alrighty. So that is all mixed in there, and to the top of this, we are going to add 14 ounces of pizza sauce. I'm actually using my Rayo's sauce that I use for spaghetti and everything else because it is lower in carbs than my traditional pizza sauce, but you can use whatever you want. I had exactly 14 ounces left in the fridge, so I'm going to finish off this jar and just drizzle that sauce on top of your ground beef, trying to spread it as evenly as possible. This is a lower carb version of pizza for your low carb friends. But honestly, we made it originally before we ever started low carb, and we would just serve it with breadsticks. So that's your choice. If you want to eat it as is, it's kind of just like a little pizza casserole. That you can eat it as is, or you can get some frozen breadsticks from the grocery store to make it with, or you can make some homemade ones. It's up to you. So just spread that sauce over the top. Got my dishes already going here. I'm going to do while this cooks up. Jar goes in the trash. Then it's just your favorite pizza toppings. And so we are going to do pepperoni at Miss Ad's request and mushroom at everybody's request because we all love mushrooms. So if I had black olives, I would probably throw them in too. But it's really up to you. Whatever kind of toppings you prefer. So, well, these mushrooms don't want to come out. Okay. So now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the rest of the cheese on and then put on my pepperonis, because pepperonis usually go on top, right? Okay. Oops. Okay, so now you're going to have 2 cups of Italian mixed cheese or pizza cheese. I didn't want to have to buy blocks of all those cheeses and mix them. You could use mozzarella if you wanted to, but I just went ahead and bought a bag to kind of stay true to the recipe. And so this just gets spread on top for an extra layer of cheesy goodness. Just spread it evenly. And then we're going to put our pepperoni. I could smell the Parmesan in this. Oh, it smells so good. Now we're going to put our pepperoni on top. And this is going to cook on low for 4 hours, which is why I'm making it after our trip to Tombstone instead of while we're gone, because we were going to be gone longer than 4 hours. So this could go low for 4 hours. You probably could pop it to high for 2, and it'll do just fine. So I'm just spreading out my pepperonis here. But we had a lot of fun in Tombstone and kind of exploring a lot of the historical stuff there. The actors that do the reenactment are really good about talking about both sides of history. So it's been very interesting to learn that maybe there was a little bit more to the story. And so we kind of learned that. We also got to visit a really cool the newspaper office where they showed us how they used to print newspapers versus how they print them today. I'm trying to think what else we did.
Is the town too tough to die?
Yes. Oh, we found out my favorite part. We found out how Tombstone got its name, and that the founder was leaving to go out and discover new parts of the West, and people said, oh, the only thing you're going to go out there and find is your tombstone. So when he founded the town, he named it Tombstone, and I love that. That's like my favorite thing that we learned while we were out there. So, almost done with my pepperonis. That's a lot of pepperoni. Miss Ad will be very happy. Okay, so lid goes on. Like I said, you can cook it on low for 4 hours, or just watch until everything kind of melts, because all you're doing is trying to get all the flavors to kind of incorporate. So low for 4 hours, or we'll bump it to high for 2. And while we're waiting for that to cook up, Mikey's going to show you our lovely trip to Tombstone, Arizona in 3, 2, 1.
What you eating?
My favorite pork rinds ever. Turkey Creek chili lime.
This channel and this video are not sponsored by Turkey Creek chicharrones.
No, but if they want to send me a lifetime supply, I would.
They really should be, because we've sponsored a lot of them here lately in the Southwest. We are on our way to Tombstone, Arizona.
Yes.
And we have no idea what we're getting into.
Nope.
Except we're going to maybe see a shootout, maybe, I don't know.
Who knows?
And cowboys.
Yes.
And White Earp. And Doc Holliday.
I'll be your Uncle Bear.
You're Daisy if you do. But we're going to head down there and check it out. We haven't done really any, what'd you say, touristy things. Like,
no.
Like we went to parks and we went to the museum, but we haven't went to like, we didn't have time to go to Old Tucson like we wanted to, which is like, isn't that where they do like they have the old movie sets and stuff like that from cowboy movies, I think. But it was like an old cowboy town. But one of the things we wanted to do down here, because we are huge fans of the movie Tombstone.
Let's not run into a car.
My wife thought that I was going to rear-end the guy.
My brake wasn't working over here.
She's over there stomping on the floorboard. We're good. But anywho. We are huge fans of the movie Tombstone.
Yes.
And so we heard that we were near Tombstone. We didn't even know it till we got down here. But, so we're going to go check out Tombstone. And then when we get back tonight, we're going to make pizza. Crustless pizza.
Yes.
Not a Tombstone pizza, but a crustless pizza.
Yes.
After seeing Tombstone. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right.
We're kind of playing off that idea.
Yeah. But anywho, here we go to Tombstone. likes to yell.
Lots of people do.
So we're in Tombstone, Arizona.
Yes.
At the original site of the gunfight at the OK Corral. I think that's the original place. They said that's the original place of the gunfight. But when you come down here, there's people yelling in the street all the time saying, hey, come see the gunfight. And then somebody else will say, hey, come see the gunfight. And it's at 2 different places.
Actually, there's 3.
Yeah, that's right. We went up to a guy and we're like, hey, and some nice gentleman handed us tickets to something he wasn't going to go to. And so he said, so where do we see the gunfight? He goes, well, you can see one here, over there, over there. He's like, there's 3 different places that will do gunfight reenactments. We got tickets to the OK Corral. We're hoping that's the authentic one.
Well, that's the one the man told us was the original.
So
that's where we're going.
But this is the original street of the OK Corral, or of Tombstone and the OK Corral there. So we've got about a half hour until the showtime for what we hope is the original gunfight reenactment. And until then, we're just going to kind of walk up and down the street for a minute, and then we'll get our seats.
Yeah.
And that, folks, is our show. We hope you enjoyed.
Yeah! Like to see what you get.
Oh my goodness, there are 2 quarters in here.
What? Wonder how those got in there.
Dad?
Your Daisy, if you do. So we're having lunch in the Crystal Palace, which is a saloon, bar, restaurant down here in Tombstone. It was originally called the Golden Eagle Brewing Company. It was built back in the late 1800s. And there was a huge fire that wiped out most of Tombstone in 1881. And this place survived. But then in 1882, another fire came through and completely wiped it out. And so when they rebuilt the brewing company, they turned it into the Crystal Palace, which was like a fine dining establishment down here in Tombstone. Prohibition about did it under, so they had to change from being a bar and a saloon into being a theater, amongst other things that it turned into. But it's a nice place to grab a beer and a burger and kind of look back at history. And the bar is awesome. Check it out. So Tombstone, Arizona, founded as a silver mining town. Mm-hmm. And there was a guy's name was Ed. I think it was Ed. Schieffelin is his last name. I believe his first name was Ed. But he was, he said he was going to go towards this way to look for gold and silver, you know. And, sorry, I had to fix my camera there. He went this way to go look for gold and silver, and everybody said, oh, the only thing you're going to find out there is your tombstone.
Now that I can totally like respect. Like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna name the town.
Well, I'll show them. He comes out this way, and he sees that there's like silver and gold out here, especially silver, and so this is where he put his mining camp, and they end up calling it Tombstone. He found his tombstone, and as the mining camp grows, more people are coming out here. Turns into a town. Just in just a few years, it was like a full-fledged city of that time, and with the growing of a city comes the good and the bad, and the bad was it brought in some seedy characters as well. If y'all saw the movie Tombstone, aptly named, the Kurt Russell one, it kind of gave a Hollywood history of it, kind of a one-sided
story.
I mean, everybody thinks of the Earps as the heroes. Wyatt Earp especially was a hero. He was a U.S. Marshal, and then he comes out to Arizona and to stake his claim into real estate and gambling and things like that, retiring from law. He comes out here with his brothers and their wives, and they get into it with the Clantons and the McLaury, is it the other guys, who are all a part of the Cowboys. And these cowboys were well known to be cattle rustlers and horse thieves. And on the other side of it, you've got the Earps, who were big into justice. Now, were they into justice for the sake of right and wrong, or were they into law enforcement and justice as a way to have power in a community?
It sounds like there was a lot of power struggle over who was going to control
the town. Yeah. And the Cowboys were used to their style of control, which was they were bullies. And the Earps were used to their style of control, which was law enforcement. But in a way, if you've ever heard the term absolute power corrupts absolutely, I don't know. I'm posing questions here and questioning history just because it happened 140 years ago. So, but just when you listen to the history of it and see other details about it, kind of makes you wonder all the stuff that went down. With that being said, there was a shootout, and the only one that was left standing, not wounded, was...
I thought he got wounded, and he just wasn't significantly wounded.
The only person that wasn't injured at all was Wyatt Earp. Doc was grazed. Virgil got shot in the leg. Morgan was shot in the shoulder, and of course, Ike ran away because he was a chicken, great big old chicken. And the other clans, and I think it's McLaury or McLawton, the other Cowboys were shot dead.
Don't trust us for your history lessons.
Yeah, we're not history teachers.
We're trying.
We're barely cooks.
Well, no, it was very interesting. I did appreciate that they kind of were committed, or at least what we saw there was committed to telling both sides of the story from a standpoint of more than just what you would see from the Hollywood film. But it was really interesting. There was a lot of things, but just from a standpoint of going and visiting there as a tourist, I'll say a couple of things. One, it was, I keep saying this, it was different than I thought it was going to be. It was. I thought it would be kind of like you go and you park, and it would be like a gate, like you enter a gate to get into this old, like, tourist town. That's what I thought. And
we were thinking it was going to be like old Tucson.
Yeah, kind of like what we saw with old Tucson. You pay an admission fee, get in kind of thing.
Right.
Instead, it's you go and you find a parking spot. There is free parking everywhere, which is nice. We parked on the street. And then you start walking, and all of a sudden, everybody's yelling at you, telling you that the gunfight's going to start in 10 minutes or something like that.
And they're all like twirling pistols and stuff like that.
There's actors dressed up everywhere, but what you quickly begin to realize, or at least what we realized, is there were several different places that you could go and buy a ticket and then have an experience. And so when we asked around, we ended up finding out that the OK Corral, at least from what the other tourists were telling us, was the one that had more of the historic.
It's the one where it actually happened.
Yeah. And so by paying to go to the gunfight there, we also got to see a lot of the old, they had like several different museums. They had was it called a Historama? A Historama, which was like this theater kind of like history of the whole town and all that kind of stuff that you got to go in and see that. And
narrated by Vincent Price, who also played Dracula.
Oh.
Or he was also the narrator in Thriller.
Okay. Well, and then we also got to go to what I think was my favorite part, which was that they had a newspaper museum that gave you a copy of the newspaper that talked about the gunfight, which Addie got a copy of so she could use it for her research paper she's going to write on Tombstone. And they got to show us all the different forms of printing presses, which you said it was the oldest.
That's the oldest newspaper in Arizona.
Oh, yeah. So that was pretty cool. So we got to see all that kind of stuff.
It was the oldest business in Tombstone.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
The more you know. Star, rainbow.
But it was interesting, and I thought that the actors at the gunfight were really great.
They were the best. They were really good. The guy who played Doc Holliday was awesome.
He was good, you know, and I think everybody remembers Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday, so I think he had a lot to live up to, and he did a really good job.
He did do a good job. He was a great narrator, but they all really did a really cool job. So we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Again, we don't usually go to touristy things other than museums and zoos, unless we go to Disney, which we will one day go back and get film and show you just how we can tear up the House of Mouse. But we're on this side of the world right now, and I know someone's going to say, go to Disneyland, go to Disneyland. We're talking about it. Maybe, we'll see. But anyway, we don't normally do the touristy things. We don't like to go into towns and stuff. We'd rather do hikes. We'd rather do exploring.
Now, I will say, from the standpoint of touristy kinds of things, it was not as expensive as what I expected it to be. Like, I expected it to be really expensive because everything is very, like, tourist driven. I was really surprised. Like, the tickets to go, like, to do everything we just described were only $10 a person total. And I feel like that was, I mean, there was, what, three different museums and shows and all that kind of stuff.
All kind of bars and saloons.
Yeah, on top of, you got the newspaper and all that. Like, there was, we spent the day there for that versus, you know, it was almost that per person yesterday or whenever it was. I'm sorry, I got my days mixed up. When we went to some of the other things that we went to. So, like, I was impressed with how they've kept the prices down. I thought that was pretty decent for the most part. So, but I'm ready to get back out hiking. I
am too.
Like, I like to do some of these kinds of, particularly if these kinds of places are associated with history in some way, because now I'm like, you know what, I really kind of want to read more about this, like read some biographies and all that kind of stuff to kind of see, you know, I used to think of Tombstone as this one thing, like there was a clear good guy, bad guy situation, and now I'm kind of like, maybe I need to read a little bit more about this and kind of read up on it.
I kind of want to go hiking through the mountains to see if we can find some silver and gold.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's been combed through here.
We should gold mine. You never know. You tell me that they've searched all those mountains.
Addie's already done that. She did her gem mining today. She's been asking us forever to do that. So we had the opportunity to do that today. She did the old-fashioned gem mining where you get the bag of sand stuff. And we did that at the OK Corral, which is like after we learned, you know, that's how Tombstone was founded. So that was kind of a cool thing. She's always been about rocks and minerals and all that stuff, so she loved that. It was a really cool experience.
But for our last full day in Arizona, I thought it was cool. I mean, it was good to come someplace where you've read the history or seen the movie of what was going on and actually see what it looked like at that time, especially with the pictures that were taken by the famous photographer, and it was just cool. It was good. But now let's go back to the cow and let's get our pizza on.
Yes.
Here we go.
And we are back from our day at Tombstone and ready to enjoy some pizza. So we are doing a little play on words with the Tombstone and the pizza, but our pizza's crustless. So I am going to just take a little nibble out of the corner here, as we say around here, for the sake of science. It is nice and cheesy, and it smells amazing with the ground beef on the bottom and the tomato sauce with the mushrooms and those pepperonis crisped right up on top, just like if you were to bake it. And so I'm going to give it a little bit of a taste. It is really, really hot, so I'm going to try and not burn myself. Maybe. I can't get it in the spoon. So have you guys ever seen the movie Tombstone? It is one of our family favorite movies, and probably, I think we all agree, Val Kilmer's best role as Doc Holliday. So it's kind of interesting learning the actual historical events behind that movie, which I think when we watch the movie again, maybe we'll be able to detect some of those pieces. Oh yeah, definitely has all those pizza flavors and lots of yummy cheese. Yum, yum, yum. And like I said, if you are a low carber, this is a low carb version of pizza. If you're not a low carber, fix you up some breadsticks to go with it. It is very, very good. Love how the flavors blend when you cook it together like that. So, sorry, I'm stuffing my face. That is so good. I love the way the cheese crisps around the edge in our slow cooker. Thank you so much for tagging along with us today as we discovered Tombstone. And thank you for joining us with our crustless pizza. If you like this video, if you could give us a thumbs up, we sure would appreciate it. And if you're not already a member of the Crock Posse, please subscribe down below and you'll become a member of our Crockpotting family. And remember, laugh often, eat good food, and speak life. Bye, guys.
If you want to see the latest, click on the left right here. If you feel like subscribing, click on the right, my dear. And if you think we're funny enough to send us money, click the page